rides a Harley Davidson, and he talked me into going on a poker run. So far, I have not been impressed. We've done nothing but sit around for an hour and a half. So, he's over there on the Harley, on the silver one. So I'm riding with 3 guys from church. And so far, it's been really boring. Boring. But it's for a good cause, I keep telling myself. Paid a little bit of money, you're gonna get lunch. But I'm not used to this sitting around junk. If I want to ride, we go ride. So, this is gonna be really dull unless you like to look at Harley Davidsons. Most of them are, you know, everything else. You walk around and a lot of them got knobbies on the, like the little brand new tire things, the little rubber things that hang on the outside of your, you know, if this is a tire, you got those little rubber things. Almost all of them have those on them. Because nobody knows how to corner on Harley, at least in this crowd. So I'm rather out of my element. I've got the oldest bike here on my 78 Suzuki. There's only one other bike in this crowd that I like, and it's that FJR right back there, sport touring model. Okay. There's Mike. Say hi, Mike. I've got you on camera. There's Chuck. Mine's a bit higher. They're all laughing at the way mine sounds. I don't have a twin, I've got 4 cylinders. But if they'd schedule the road with some twists, I'd leave them all in the dust. So, what can we talk about? Got to think of something to talk about. Oh. Because there's nothing going to be interesting to hear, or to see, so I got to make something interesting to hear. Get your feet up. Look, everybody's dragging their feet. My feet have been on my pegs ever since I started rolling. The only time I put them down is when I stop. So, here we go. Let's see if they know how to ride. Oh, there's even some guys over there, but... Ah, finally got a breeze. Yay! Hello, puppy dog! This is what this is for, some kind of animal shelter. Oh, ho, ho. All right, I've been saving this story. And today looks like the day to tell it. Because like I said, there's not much else to see. So what we'll do is I'll tell you this story from my high school days. Back when I was in Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. My senior year of high school. And in Las Vegas, it's really hard to go to school because there's so many more things to do. So much more fun to be had. So, my friends and I, there were like 5 of us that were always together. And we had a early morning Bible study class that we would go to sometimes. I mean, most of the time we went to it all the time, but when we go to school. But when we would go, well, what we did today, we didn't go that often. But anyway, we'd show up to school, and about half of us went to the early morning class for that Bible study before school started, and most of us went to the rest of us went to the afternoon of that class. after school. Some of us went to the class during lunch, but anyway, we go to this Bible study class, and it was a hoot. Just the different things, you know, you'd learn when you're a teenager and trying to relate it to whatnot. But I went to the afternoon session, and Tyler went to the morning session. And so we'd always park by that building, by the high school. And we'd show up, and Tyler would sometimes stick his head out the door like sideways. You know, like the door's like this, and he'd stick his head out like this. All you could see was his head, and he'd have this grin on his face. And we knew that Tyler wanted to ditch whenever he would do that. And, you know, laying out, ditching, sloughing, whatever you want to call it, we didn't go to class. We didn't go to school. But we'd get up and act like we were going to school. And that was the, you know, our parents, my mom and dad are going to be listening to this. And, of course, they know by now. But at the time, I don't know if they really knew that we did all this all the time. So, it was a lot of fun. We ended up, we'd show up, and Tyler wanted to ditch. And we'd talk to different people. And of course in Las Vegas, you know, we had this kind of routine. Sometimes when we would ditch, we would go to the casinos, and we'd eat steak and eggs for $4 or $3, you know. Then we go bowling, or sometimes we'd go to the Lake Mead and go swimming, and sometimes we'd go up to the mountains and play in the snow. You know, there's just all different things that we do in different times. But the fun thing was to always go out on a road trip, and everything was fun. We always tried to make it fun. So anyway, we show up this day, and Tyler sticks his head out of the door at the Bible study class building. And we're like, oh, Tyler wants to ditch. Who's going? And we always had a rule that you couldn't ditch if you were doing poorly in your classes. You had to go to school. But if you had like a test, that was an excellent day to ditch because you didn't miss any new material. And, you know, you could always make up a test. So we did that quite a bit when it came to tests. And on your third absence from any kind of class, your third tardy or whatever, they would call your house. But of course, most of us had parents that were working, and so we would, it didn't matter if they called your house. This was before cell phones and stuff. I mean, they had cell phones, but they were in like a bag about the size of that saddlebag up there. And they had a cord, you know, it was ridiculous. So anyway, they weren't like they were today. And they wouldn't call your parents' work, they would just call your home phone, you know. And so it was like no big deal if nobody was home. And so we ended up ditching whenever we had a test or anything, and we ditched the whole day. It wasn't this thing to where we just ditch sometimes, you know, or like, oh, let's just ditch one class. That's lame. We would ditch the whole day and take advantage of it. So we ended up showing up, and Tyler sticks his head out, and we go, who wants to ditch? And sure enough, so Tyler's gonna drive, I'm gonna drive. I've got my friend Lane, he's with me, and there was a girl, and then there was, I think Dave came on this ride too. Gotta cut out his last name. And so we had two vehicles, and where we were planning on going was hot springs. These hot springs are, you know, we heard about them. They're out in the desert. Somebody told us about them, and they're like, hey, you need to meet us at the hot springs. And we didn't know where we were going. And of course, this is before GPS. So we'd have to, okay, we got it. And they gave us some kind of general directions, and so off we went. We got on I-15, we headed south, and we went to the State Line Casino. And that's basically what we were told to do. And when we got there, we were going to be meeting up with Jimmy and his friends. And guess what? Jimmy wasn't there. So we were, okay, what do we do? We could go back to school. No, we don't want to do that. Oh, I got to fix my rotation. I forgot I adjusted this. Hopefully that's the right way. At my stop. It might be all crooked. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, we got to the point. We got to the State Line Casino. Didn't meet up with Jimmy, and we're like, what do? We go back? Do we go do something else? He says, no, let's go find these hot springs. That sounds fun. So what we ended up doing is going into the casino and asking around. Hey, do you know where these hot springs are? Somebody told us they're close, and we finally found somebody that knew what we were talking about. And so we said, can you draw us a map? And he goes, yeah, sure. What do you got to ride on? Of course, we didn't have anything to ride on, even though we were supposed to go to school that day. I don't know why we didn't have anything to ride on. We probably left it out in the car. But so what we ended up doing was grabbing a napkin. And he drew a map on this napkin. And it looked easy enough. And so we ended up getting in our cars and 2 vehicles, and so we took off. I'm in the front. Oh, and when we ditched, we ditched in style. We made sure we'd go to get our cooler, we'd fill it full of drinks, we'd get food. We would do and I had this old 1983 Honda 2-door Accord hatchback. And back in those days, the Accords were like the size of today's Civics. So we ended up getting in, and I didn't have any air conditioning in my car. So Lane was riding with me, and Tyler was in his Ford Tempo. And I think he had 3 people with him. And then we ended up going. So he had air conditioning, but Lane was nice enough to ride with me, and so we did. And this is in Las Vegas, mind you, so it gets hot. And so we ended up going off, and next thing you know, we're on these dirt roads. And I love the dirt, as you know. So my little front-wheel drive Honda Accord, I ended up taking that thing and just, we'd just fly down these dirt roads, and there's a lot of washboards, and if you know anything about a washboard road, they are very, very, very crummy to ride on, unless you're going fast. If you're going fast, then you don't have to worry about it. So we ended up going fast, and Tyler would, he didn't want to eat my dust, so he would hang back. So eventually what ended up happening is I would get out in the lead, and then Tyler would come in behind me. And so we'd end up having to wait for him every now and then. But I'd pull the emergency brake. We'd fishtail around the corners. Lane was having a blast. I was having so much fun. And we're just flying along. And so every now and then we'd stop and we'd pop the hatch on the back of the car. And then we would get out the coolers and we'd go out some food or some snacks or some drinks. And, we get like our Gatorades and fruit drinks and waters and stuff, and then we just wait for Tyler to catch up. So as we're going along, we'd kept doing that, and this is probably like the 2nd or 3rd time we'd stopped. And Lane and I are talking, and the next thing we know, we're stopped and everything's open. Both car doors are open, the hatch is open, everything's open. And then this dust devil picks up. I don't know if you know what a dust devil is, but they're like mini tornadoes. So this mini tornado picks up right beside the vehicle. And I was like, we're getting dust all over the place. I'm closing my eyes and then I see Lane start jumping up and down. He's like jumping. He's like trying to reach for something. And I'm like, what are you doing? He said, the map is in the twister. and so we start chasing this dust devil. And this map or this napkin is just twirling and just going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And we're chasing this thing for like a half a mile, and it's not coming down. And I'm laughing so hard I can't follow him anymore. And so I end up just falling over on my gut, laughing at Lane, because he's still jumping and up and down after this thing that's, you know, way high up in the air. And so I end up just laughing. He comes back and he's got this depressed look on his face, and he's just dejected. And I'm like, what's the matter, Lane? And he goes, God just doesn't want us to ditch today. So we end up, we still ended up ditching and stuff, but he's just so strung out. So now what do? Tyler finally catches up to us. We don't have a map. We're like, what do? Well, let's just keep going. We'll start asking, we'll ask for more directions. So we end up asking, we drive along, and we're out in the middle of the desert. We're in the middle of nowhere. And every now and then we'd see a house, or we'd see, you know, some kind of business or something. And so when we would see that, we would stop and ask directions. Hey, where's this hot springs? You all know where this hot spring is. And sure enough, you know, we'd find some, oh yeah, it's just down the road, you know, go another couple miles. And so we end up going some more, and after driving and driving and driving, we're on dirt roads, we're on paved roads, we're on dirt roads again, we're just lost. And we see this big DV on the top of the mountain, you know, like that mountain over there. If you look at that one, imagine a big DV on the side of it. Out west, that's what they do for local high schools and colleges and stuff. They put the initials of the school just on the side. You know, it's kind of like free advertising. And it's a bunch of white rocks that they paint, you know. And so we see DV, and we're like, DV? Who do we play that, you know, who does our high school play that starts with DV? We have no idea who it is. And so we're just lost. We have no clue where we are. And then the next thing you know, we finally find a paved road, and we start going along, and we see this sign, and it's like, you know, it's just like a road sign. And it has the number, and then below it had some writing. So we pulled over and kind of got a good look at it. And so we end up pulling over and looking at this. And underneath it, in little tiny words, it says, Death Valley. And so we're like, we're in Death Valley! And we're lost! What are we gonna do? Well, at this time, the cooler's getting low, you know, it's late in the afternoon. Well, not say late, it's mid-afternoon. It's getting hot, hot, hot. And again, I don't have any air conditioning in my car. So Lane, you know, he's riding with his arm outside the window like this the whole day. And so we end up finding some more people and ask some more directions, and we end up finally getting to these hot springs. And so we're like, yes, we're gonna go swimming, we're hot, we're dying, we're gonna go get refreshed in these hot springs. And when we show up to these hot springs, I kid you not, you remember the old movies that are, you know, the old cowboy movies, where you've got a bathhouse. You know, back in the old West, you'd pay your 2 bits or whatever, and then you'd get your, and you'd pay to take a bath, right? Well, that's exactly what this looked like. It was this shack, it looked like an outhouse. It had a tub in it, and there was water in the tub that was coming from the hot spring. And we were like, you are kidding me, we did school for this? And so, you know, we weren't going to get in that water. It was nasty looking. And I'm in my car, you know, Lane's outside. And all of a sudden he starts moving. He starts like juking around. And I'm like, what is up with him? And he's like shaking his head, you know, moving it this way, moving it that way. And he's running, he's jumping, and he's like freaking out. And I'm like, what's up with Lane? Again, 100-something degree weather. He runs, he's back and forth doing circles. He's doing all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, what is wrong with him? And he's swatting in the air. And he's just like, he runs, and he finally gets in my car, and he rolls up the window. I had crank windows, you know. He rolls up the window. And I'm like, what's the matter? He goes, there's a horsefly. The horsefly is going to get me. It's the biggest horsefly I've ever seen.
And so I roll up my window, and sure enough, this horsefly comes and it lands right on the windshield. Bap! You know? And I turn on my windshield wiper and bap it off, and it flies around and it comes back, and it's like this horsefly from hell trying to get at us. And we're just like, ah! We're just, you know, just one thing after another. The tornado takes our map. The horsefly is going to kill us. The bathhouse is a nasty tub in the middle of the desert. You know, it's just... So we're like, okay, we better start heading back. We finally found what we were looking for, so we asked some directions to go back to Las Vegas. And the other thing is there's Mount... Oh, shoot, what's the name of that mountain? Well, I'll look it up. I'll figure it out. There's this mountain that you can see from Las Vegas, and we've like gone on a circle around this mountain. You know, it's this big point, and we've seen it, and we're going like all the way around this mountain the whole day. So we kind of have an idea of where we are and how to get back, but you know, we didn't know what road to take and everything, so we finally find some directions. We make our way back. And as we're making our way back, we go through Pahrump. And if any of you know Pahrump, Nevada, that's where you know, the conspiracy theory is of Area 51. You know, that's Pahrump. It's this that's that alien place, right? Well, they also sell fireworks, and fireworks are illegal in Las Vegas. So we go and we have some money, so we buy some fireworks. We're like, okay, so, you know, this day hasn't been a complete loss. But we've heard stories of people of border checks, you know, Las Vegas Border Patrol. It's just the cops, but there's illegal substances in Pahrump, and they don't want it coming into Las Vegas, even though Las Vegas is the city of sin, you know, but hey. Anyway, so we're thinking, okay, we got these fireworks, we got these bottle rockets, these things that are illegal in Las Vegas. What are we going to do with them? So, of course, I was the MacGyver of the group, always had my toolbox with me, and so we take off some of the panels on our inside panels, and we stuff our panels, our door panels full of fireworks. And we're like, the cops will never know. Well, what if they have dogs? We're like, no, dogs sniff for drugs. They won't sniff for fireworks. We'll be okay. So there we are. We got these illegal fireworks, and we stuffed them in the door panels, and we're heading back. We know where we are now, and we're heading home. Except we don't really go home most of the time. But anyway, we're heading back to Vegas. And Tyler's car gets a flat tire. And we're like, oh no! And then the worst part about it is his spare tire is flat. And we're like, oh no, what are we gonna do? And then it wasn't too long after we discovered these things that we're trying to see if my tire would fit, but it wasn't, because it was a Honda. He had a Ford, it didn't fit. So we're like, oh man, what are we gonna do? The next thing we know, there's lights behind us. Woo, woo! You know, there's no sirens, but there's lights. And we're like, oh crap. The cop pulls over, and he comes up, he starts talking to us. Y'all having any trouble? Well, he didn't say y'all, he's, you know, that's here in the South. Anyway, hey, you guys need some trouble? You having trouble here? And we're like, yeah, we got a flat tire. And we're like, oh no, we got those illegal fireworks. But luckily, he didn't search our cars, and he didn't look for illegal fireworks, and he had a spare tire in his trunk that fit. And of course, we ditched school, and we don't want our parents to know that we've ditched school, so we're trying to get back to Las Vegas to where we can say, you know, hey, we've been in school, we just had our normal day, right? But luckily, you know, the cop was cool, and he gave us a spare tire for Tyler's car, and so we're on our way. So we decide, okay, what are we gonna do? We're tired, we're hot, you know, like no air conditioning, remember, and we just had a hard day, so we put over like 300 miles on the cars. I mean, I'm glad our parents didn't check odometers, because they would have definitely known that we ditched that day. So we ended up going to Lane's house. That was usually our pattern. We go to somebody's house, you know, we chill out and get a drink, or you know, get some soda or something. And so we go to Lane's house, and he walks in the house, and his mom looks at him. He goes, Lane, what did you do today? And he goes, well, we went to school. And she goes, well, how come your right arm is sunburned? So his right arm, remember, he's taking it out the window. His right arm is sunburned, and nothing else is. Just his right arm. And he goes, well, Mom, I was hot at school, so I sat next to the windows all day. And of course, You know, she knows what's going on, but oh, so that was our ditch day. And that was just one of many adventures of ditching. We loved to ditch, you know, and in Vegas it wasn't a big deal to ditch because the cops, if they saw you, they just thought you were a tourist there on vacation, you know. One of the times, and it rained really, really hard, and that doesn't happen in Las Vegas, right? It's the desert. So one day it rained really hard, and we ditched school. We said, "Oh, we got to ditch," and we end up going to the strip. Oh, there's an ambulance. We end up going to the strip, and there was lots of puddles, and so we would drive our cars through the puddles and splash all the tourists. And I'm gonna pay for that someday. I promise. Well, it was raining anyway, you know. Surely they were already really wet, but now they had road grime on them too, so we were not very nice. Oh, but we had adventures.
My senior and junior year of high school were just lots of adventures, lots of things we did. But as good as high school was, college was even better. Save that for another day. Let's see who's behind us. Yeah, we're about in the back. And we're breaking the law. Better turn off the camera.